What's up guys, Mike here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most disrespected players in the league right now, Dwight Howard. Because a lot of people seem to have forgotten that at one moment in time, around the 2009 to 2011 seasons, Dwight Howard was considered by many to be the number 2 player in the NBA. With that in mind, and with the fact that Dwight has also been named a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and 5-time member of the first team All-NBA, I can guarantee you that Dwight Howard will be a Hall of Famer, but when you bring that up in conversations right now, a lot of people are not only surprised, but seem kind of outraged. Many people do not think Dwight Howard is a Hall of Famer. Again, many people seem to have forgotten how good he was, so today, we are going to look at Dwight Howard's career, and we are going to go back to the time where he was the number 2 player alive. Before we get into all of that, however, let's take a trip back to when Dwight Howard was born. Now, Dwight was a premature baby. He was only born 7 months into his mother's pregnancy, but he also was the size of a completely normal baby. At that point in time, his father would already say, from that Sunday morning that he was born, we always said, oh, this boy's going to be an NBA player. And of course, this is a bit of revisionist history, as already by the time Dwight was in high school, despite the fact that he played point guard early on, he dominated. Then, after using this point guard experience to grow as a player in general, somewhere around Dwight's sophomore season, he would grow 5 inches, and from there, the rest is pretty much history. In his senior season, he averaged 25 points, 18 rebounds, and 8.1 blocks a game, while also leading his team to a state championship. In that state championship title game, Dwight would finish with a triple-double, putting up 26 points, 23 rebounds, and 10 blocks. At this moment, it was clear that Dwight was the most dominant big man in the country, and the NBA took notice and Dwight's draft stock soared. Scouts would say things such as, you look at everything Howard can do and you say maybe, just maybe, you're looking at a top 50 all-time player. At this time, we also got a glimpse into Dwight's mindset headed into the draft, because while at the Jordan Classic, Dwight would seek out Michael Jordan and ask him what sacrifices champions needed to make. Jordan would reply, when other players are sleeping, that's when you want to be out there working. And Dwight would take those words to heart, because right after the Jordan Classic, Howard started to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to hit the gym, saying, quote, I'm working hard, but not as hard as I need to. I want to say at the end of my career that I was one of the hardest workers, which now is an interesting quote to look at, as Dwight's career has kind of fallen off a cliff as he struggled to adjust to the modern NBA game. But I guess that is what this story is about, because at first Dwight would work hard and he would reach the superstar level he wanted to reach, and then everything would go wrong. Before we continue guys, I do want to say thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Now, SeatGeek is an app that takes all of the best ticket prices from around the internet and brings them all together on their app for you to see so that you can get the best deal. And one of the coolest things is that SeatGeek makes it very easy to see what the best tickets are, because they score every single ticket on a scale of 0 to 100 based on how good that ticket's price is. And when you're on the app looking at tickets, SeatGeek also gives you a preview of the seat you're about to buy, which I think is an awesome feature because you get to preview the experience you're about to have. So guys, if you want the best tickets for the best prices, download SeatGeek and use the promo code 2KMike for $20 off your first order. Also, the link to SeatGeek will be in the description, and now let's continue with the video. Going back to the draft though, while some scouts did have doubts and compared Dwight to players such as Kwame Brown, the Orlando Magic believed and rolled the dice and took Dwight first overall in the 2004 draft. And immediately, the pressure was huge for Dwight to succeed because 1, he was directly compared to Emeka Okafor. 2, he was a high schooler taken number 1 in the draft the year after LeBron was taken. And 3, many were already comparing Dwight to a young Shaquille O'Neal. This is the type of pressure that has ruined many young careers. Kwame Brown. However, Dwight would soon prove he was built from a different mold, because while he did lose out on the Rookie of the Year race to Emeka Okafor in the 2000 2005 season, Dwight himself did have a great year for a teenager, already averaging a double-double while leading his team to 36 wins, 15 more than they had the previous season. With this said, this is a video about the time that Dwight Howard was the second best player in the world, so just know that in 2007, Dwight was named to his first All-Star team, and then in 2008, he was named first team All-NBA. Now, moving ahead, we are going to laser in on the 3-year stretch between 2009 and 2011, because by the time the 2009 season had ended, Dwight had become the youngest player in league history to pull down 5,000 rebounds, which is the perfect way to introduce this 3-season stretch, as from 2009 to 2011, Dwight would prove he was a true NBA superstar. Now, to everyone who was not watching the NBA in 2011, this might seem strange, but just listen to this. Between 2009 and 2011, Dwight would lead the league in rebounds and blocks twice, and was also the leader in defensive win shares and defensive rating all 3 seasons. During this stretch, he would average 20.5 points, 13.7 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks a game. And at this point, if you're still not impressed with just how good Dwight Howard was, just know that in these 3 years, Dwight also was named both first team All-NBA and Defensive Player of the Year all 3 seasons, immediately making him one of just 3 players in NBA history to win the Defensive Player of the Year award more than twice. Now, going even further, Dwight also finished second in the MVP voting behind just Derrick Rose in 2011, which meant, yes, while many say that LeBron should have won this award, Dwight was ranked 1 spot ahead of him. We'll look back at that number 2 ranking and other ranking systems later on in this video, because obviously that is a huge part of this, but for now, let's take a deep dive into the 2009 playoffs. And these playoffs were actually very important, as headed into the 2009 season, Dwight had certainly cemented himself as the NBA's best center, but because of the way he acted on the court, always joking around, always smiling, always laughing, and also doing novelty things like wearing a Superman cape during the dunk contest, a lot of people were not sure if Dwight was really the type of player you could build a championship contender around. Now remember, the NBA in 2009 was not like the NBA today. Clearly, the three-point shot has basically taken over the league right now, and most teams are made up of versatile players who can defend multiple positions and shoot. And sure, while players who are great at scoring off lobs and defending the basket, such as DeAndre Jordan and Clint Capella, are very valuable, they also are not considered top-tier players. Looking at the top centers in today's game, we find guys who can defend the rim, guard multiple positions, make plays, and shoot the basketball, such as Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis if you consider him a center, DeMarcus Cousins, you get the point. However, in 2009, a big man such as Dwight Howard, a guy who couldn't shoot but could do everything else at an elite level, was still capable of taking over whole playoff series. That is exactly what happened in the 2009 playoffs, as in the first round, the Magic would move past the Sixers after a Game 6 blowout, as Dwight proved to be incredible on both ends of the floor, as he averaged 24 points on 68% shooting while also pulling down almost 16 rebounds a night on top of nearly 3 blocks. These numbers were great, and from there, Orlando would take advantage of Kevin Garnett's absence as the Magic took down the reigning champion Celtics in 7 games. Again, Dwight was an absolute animal, but it was the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers, however, where Dwight Howard would back up the number 2 ranking he had achieved. The thing is though, due to the fact that Kobe and the Lakers were the favorites in the West and would eventually reach the NBA Finals, most people somewhat wrote off the Magic as they wanted to see a matchup between LeBron and Kobe in the finals. This was such a thing at the time that Dwight would actually write on his personal blog. Yes, we know it was 2009 because he had a blog. Anyway, he wrote it was disrespectful for the commentators to openly hope for a Kobe and LeBron final, while Magic head coach Stan Van Gundy threw his 2 cents in by saying, quote, "I don't think most of the nation even knows that we're in this series. I think this is the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James series, and who they are playing against is incidental." Perhaps these words were motivation for the Magic, or maybe it was just that Dwight was unstoppable at this point. Whatever the reason, it was the Orlando Magic who would take down the top-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games. Going even further, further, first I just want to remind everyone that this was a Cavs team that won 66 games during the regular season, which means obviously they were very tough competition, but that did not matter to Dwight at all. For the series, he shot around 65% while averaging 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists a game. And as if that wasn't enough, Game 6 found the Magic playing at home, which of course meant that if they lost, they were going to face a deciding Game 7 on the road. With that in mind, Dwight decided he was not going to let a Game 7 happen, because in Game 6, he had what was possibly the best game of his career, as he finished off the Cavs with a ridiculous 40 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. An absolute historic performance that we have all forgotten. Moving ahead here though, sure, the Magic did lose to the Lakers in the finals, but still, after the 2009 season was over, the world was now completely sold on Dwight Howard, which is why it's no surprise that in his remaining seasons in Orlando, Dwight continued to be the undisputed best center in the NBA. So at this point, let's get into it. Let's get into the fact that in the year 2011, Dwight Howard was the consensus number 2 player in the world behind LeBron. The proof of this is right here. Like I said before, in the 2011 MVP race, Dwight was ranked number 2 behind Derrick Rose actually, but still ranked number 2. As for how the media saw him at this point, Sports Illustrated would have Dwight ranked number 2 behind LeBron in their NBA preview posted in 2011. ESPN would do their annual ESPN rank in 2011, and in this ranking system, LeBron James was 1, and look, there's Dwight Howard at number 2. Finishing off here, from the years 2008 to 2011. At the time, Grantland's Bill Simmons would rank Dwight Howard second in every single one of his annual trade value columns. That is just how good Dwight was in 2011, and when we look back at his career in Orlando as a whole, we can see why Dwight was ranked the number 2 player. Because with all of this said, 2012 would mark Dwight's last season on the Magic, but in that season, he was still named to the first team All-NBA, and he was just 26 years old, the same age that Anthony Davis and Buddy Hield are now. There was no reason to think that Dwight was going to fall off like he did. For now, let's just take a look back though at Dwight's entire career in Orlando just to show how good of a basketball player this man was. Starting off here, he was incredibly durable, as in his first 7 seasons in the league, he missed just 7 out of 574 games. And by the time he left for the Lakers, by the time his career with the Magic was over, overall Dwight would rack up 6 All-Star appearances, 5 first-team All-NBA selections, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and he finished in the top 5 in MVP voting 4 separate times. During this stretch, he also averaged over 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game in 3 separate seasons. A stat line that has only been produced 11 times total by 6 different players in NBA history, and he was the first person to put up that kind of stat line since Hakeem Olajuwon in 1990. He also, as I've been saying, was a legit franchise player. Again, before the Magic drafted Dwight, the team won just 21 games. By Dwight's 3rd season, they would make the playoffs and would continue to make the playoffs for every one of his last 6 seasons in Orlando. These playoff runs, of course, included reaching the NBA Finals in 2009 and the Eastern Conference Finals in 2010, which was huge for the Magic because other than Dwight's run on the team, Orlando has only lost in the NBA Finals 1 other time and lost in the Eastern Conference Finals 1 other time, which means that at this point, I think we can all agree, before he left the Orlando Magic for the Lakers, Dwight Howard was a superstar. That brings us to the obvious question though, what happened? And guys, the answer to what happened is a topic for a different video. This one has already gone on long enough, which means at this point, I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And again, a big shout out to SeatGeek. Remember, use the promo code 2KMike for $20 off your first order. Also, if you're already subscribed to this channel, thank you so much for supporting. You guys are awesome. And as always, have an awesome day and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.